Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It is week 4 of our January craft space reset. Excited to be back with you all. Yep, live again this week because sometimes it's easier to push play on live than it is to push play and record. Don't ask me why. So here we are. If you are just joining, we'll do a little recap of where we have been. So week 1 in January, our first video of this month's series, we talked about creating an organized only space, sort of that space that you commit to keeping organized no matter what. Week 2, we talked about, hey, Debbie, how are you? Week 2, we talked about, what did we talk about in week 2? What did we talk about in week 2? Oh, you guys, these are my videos. I should remember. I know we've talked about categorizing. Oh, week 2, we talked about we started talking about supply organization. So I encouraged people to dive in slowly, pick one supply type to start working on organizing. And we talked about some steps for that. Last week, we started in the first 2 letters of my own craft space organizing acronym, kind of the one that I use, which is CRAFT, go figure. And then categorize and reduce were the first 2 categories. So that's what we talked about last week. So if you've missed any of those videos, they're in a playlist on my YouTube channel. You can go back and watch. There's some free resources on my website that you can download to kind of help you with that process. Today, we are going to talk about the A in craft, which is assigning a home to your supplies. Now, this is going to be a quick video because we're not actually going to assign the home. We're just going to start framing it out and thinking about it. So in the video description on my website is a worksheet for you to use. Don't laugh at the picture that is assigned to this on my website. I needed to come up with something quickly, and that's a little Procreate house that I've been working on. And I was like, well, it fits, so we're just going to pop it up there for now. That worksheet is designed to help you think about your supplies in relationship to how easily you need to grab them when you're working, and that is how you figure out thanks, love, that's how you figure out where you assign your home. So it's categorized into within arm's reach, meaning you literally don't have to move, maybe turn a little bit, right, this way or that way, but in my case I have to stretch a little bit, but everything is, you don't have to get up, you barely have to move your chair, it is all right there. Some of those things are no-brainers: scissors, ruler, pens and pencils, glue, paintbrushes for me, my bone folder, my hole punch, the score tape is in the drawer in my desk. Those are the things that I use 95% of the time that I am crafting. So I don't want to have to get up and walk across the room 15 times in the middle of a project to grab something. So that's the first. The second is what I put on the worksheet as keep within 2 to 3 steps. Or if you have, like, I have a sliding chair or a rolling chair, 2 to 3 rolls, right? I have to roll this way and I can grab what I need. For me, that's my little tub of chalk couture tools that has my squeegees, my stir sticks, my some color trays, a chalk couture fuzzing cloth. It's my chalk couture pastes and inks, my scrapbook papers. I'm actually looking around my printer paper, all of my paper craft socials kits that are either printed or in progress. All of that stuff, I can literally turn, roll my chair, grab, and come back. I don't really even have to get up, unless on the paper side of things, I'm digging for a particular piece of paper. But even still, it's like 2 steps away from me. The third category is that it needs to be within your craft space. Now, I've acknowledged in the first video and probably the other ones, I am very fortunate. The 4th bedroom of our house is my craft room. It is a decent sized room. It has a closet, and I have an unfinished part of the basement that is basically 90% mine in terms of storage. So I have a lot of space. Now, the downside is I have a lot of space. That is both a blessing and a curse, but it has been easy for me to lay out this room because I have more space. Next week, when we talk about functional containers, we will talk really specifically about small spaces, particularly going vertical. That's a great way to maximize space in a small area. Also, some unconventional storage ideas that would help you maximize that space. But that third category of assigning that home is things that need to be in the area itself. So you might have to get up, you might have to get into a closet, you might have to grab off of a bookshelf or get into drawers somewhere. But again, it's easily accessible. It's right in your room. It's not going to derail you for 15 minutes from your project because you have to go get the supply. That's sort of the breaking point. Even 15 minutes might be long. I'd say 5 minutes. So you can see I've got vinyl hanging behind me. I actually have vinyl hanging on this door over here that you all can't see. Got a bunch of stuff in that closet back there. We are going to do a tour of my craft space next week. I was going to do that this week, and then I started thinking about what I wanted to talk about today. And next week, we're going to get into functional containers, the F in craft. So this January reset's going to go in February, by the way. That's the way it goes. And I want to show you all how I have things organized in terms of what kinds of containers I'm using. And I'm making some changes that'll get done this weekend, and I think it would be a much more beneficial video if I get those changes made before I do the little tour of my craft space. So we'll talk about what I store things in, but where and why, as it fits into that within arm's reach, within 2 to 3 steps, within the same room. And then the fourth are the things that can be stored elsewhere. Elsewhere is going to look different for everybody depending on how much space you have. For me, that's the unfinished part of our basement. Now, show supplies, I do one large vendor event every year. That stuff's upstairs in our guest room closet because I don't want to have to lug it upstairs and downstairs. It may only be once a year, but it's a lot of stuff. And so I've taken over a corner of the guest bedroom closet for that. But my chalkature surfaces, my surfaces to repurpose, my tubs of fabric, how else would I categorize what's in the unfinished part of the basement? We might take a little tour in there too. I've got a tub that just has sort of those, what I would consider not really random supplies, but it's the hodgepodge of stuff. I have my wood cutouts and wood shapes. I have IOD molds and my air dry clay and books to use for ephemera and repurposing. The popsicle sticks and the what are those things called? I'm losing my words. I have a bunch of those vintage egg crates that I use, for Easter. Those are off season. I don't need them. So off season supplies, all my florals, that's all in the unfinished part of the basement in tubs, organized with those little scan labels that I love. If you haven't seen that video, go back. It was the very last one I did in December. It's also in this playlist. We'll talk about those a little more again. And so those are the 4 categories. The categories might look different for you. You might need to reorder or, give yourself different headers, but you've got room on that worksheet. But that's sort of your assignment for this week. Print out that worksheet, pull it up and just do it in your planner or your notebook, whatever works for you, and start to think about what you need where. Because then that leads into okay, how am I going to store it in these spaces? So my scrapbook paper, for example, is on a bookshelf within my chair roll in those paper sorters. I know that I need it that close. That bookshelf is the available space. It fits, and those storage containers fit. So there's a lot of decisions that come before picking out the containers, which is actually, if you're like me, the most fun part. So having to do all this other stuff first can be kind of annoying, but nothing is more frustrating than buying containers that A, don't fit where you need them to fit, and B, don't hold what you need them to hold, or both. Then you're starting all over from square one. So if you do some of these other things first, then when you actually go to buy your storage containers, you know where they're going to go. So you have your measurements, you know what you're going to try to store in them. So you know how many you might need, what sizes you might need, that sort of thing. And when you go put it all together, it all works. Everything fits where it's supposed to, all of that. And you're not frustrated and kind of throw your hands up and feel like, well, what's the point? Or having to start all over from the beginning. Okay, so that is this week's little tip. The link to the worksheet is in the video description. Also, a link to my Freebie Friday and Printables page on my worksheet, along with links to all kinds of other ways to find me and figure out who I am and what I do. I would love to hear your thoughts on this process. If you've gone through some of the other week's worksheets or assignments and you're making progress, I'd love to hear about it. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Thank you, Debbie. And I will be back next Wednesday. We'll talk about functional containers, and I'll have it recorded because it's hard to do a tour of my craft room live, but I will have all of that recorded and ready to go for our video. Talk to y'all later. Bye, everybody.